This is an absolutely superb location, and it's one of the reasons why it's one of our favorite stops on the Israel tour that we're on right now. In fact, the reason that we like it is the thing that works most against it as a site where people like to come. In fact, right now it's very quiet here because our bus is the only one that's here. The reason that we like this stop so much is because it's authentic. Welcome to the village of Korazim. Korazim is one of the three areas that Jesus, Yeshua, says a woe to Korazim, to Bethsaida, and to Capernaum. These are the three towns that Jesus says woe to, because he mentions that if the same miracles were done in other places that were done there, the people would believe. Because there's no traditional sites here, there's no Catholic sites or a tradition where one of the apostles did this or did that, there's some interesting things about this place. Number one, there's no gift shop. There's no touristy area. And unfortunately, that's the reason why no one comes here. As I said before, this is the reason why, for us, it's one of our favorite places. Not only is it quiet, but this is an authentic first century Jewish village. It has everything that a Jewish town would need. It has a synagogue, it has a Beit Midrash, it has a mikveh, which is a ritual bath, everything, homes. It has all the marks of a traditional Jewish town. Most certainly, Yeshua was in this town, and often. This reminds me of an object lesson. Because there's nothing touristy or traditional that happened here, people for some reason don't want to come. Why is it that we are attracted, or maybe should I say distracted, by something flashy? All of us have probably seen someone on TV or in a film, or someone that we know that seems to be very religious on the outside, seems very flashy. But I think that Yeshua wasn't flashy at all. In fact, I think it's one of the things that attracted people to him. He was a humble person. I have a story that I'd like to tell you. On March the 16th, 2003, something happened to me that wasn't very flashy, but like this place, it was very real. Because of spinal meningitis when I was 18 months old, I was left deaf in my right ear. The auditory nerve that connected my inner ear to my brain was killed during that disease. Because it was nerve deafness, a hearing aid wouldn't do me any good. It's funny, I doubted my parents, and so when I was in college, behind their back, I went to a hearing place, a hearing aid manufacturer, and got a hearing test. When I told them about my condition, they said, "We're sorry, you have nerve deafness, a hearing aid won't help you." I don't know what it is about young people that think that they know better than their parents, but at that time I thought I did. The funny thing is, the name of that place that I went was called Miracle Ear. On March the 16th, 2003, something changed. I was in church doing a skit with the rest of the praise team, and as a joke, they gave me a character of the deaf man. You see, in this skit, which was called What's New, everyone at the same time would say, "What's new?" And then each one in turn would tell of a healing that they had had by the Messiah. When it was my turn, I said my lines. "What's new? My ears are new. Jesus touched my ears and now I can hear." It was a very quick skit. At the end of it, I came to sit down and my dad was preaching that day. And 20 minutes into the sermon, something strange happened. My ear popped, my deaf ear. Like I was swimming deep in a pool or coming down out of the mountains or landing in a plane. I got the strange sensation that I was hearing out of my deaf ear. It turns out I was. I ran over to my mom, and by that time I was a wreck. I was sobbing. It was a little scary and joyous at the same time. After I ran to her, I ran up on the stage and interrupted my dad, who was preaching his sermon, and grabbed him by the shoulders and said, "I can hear, I can hear." I can still hear to this day, by the way, and it is interesting that it was on the same day that I did a skit about a deaf man being healed. It's interesting that it was on 3/16, a date that's easy to remember, And it's also interesting that it was the day before we were set to open our recording studio that I've been running since then. So on the first day of operation, I had 2 good ears for, at that time, the first time in over 26 years. There's something interesting about my healing. It's like this place, Korazim. You see, Korazim isn't flashy, and that's why people don't come. I didn't give any money to a TV preacher. I didn't ask anyone to pray for me. There wasn't an elaborate laying on of hands service or anointing ceremony or anything like that. God simply chose to reach down and do something that I needed. Sometimes flashy is how we tell if something is not real. There's much debate in Jerusalem about where it was that the mother of Jesus, the Messiah, Yeshua, received the news that she was going to give birth to the Son of God. The Greek Orthodox have their tradition, the Christians, the Catholics have their tradition, the Protestants have another tradition. In fact, there's one tradition in Italy, even though the mother of Jesus never stepped foot in Italy, there's a traditional spot there as well. I think for me, when I'm in the Holy Land, I like to go to places that are real, that are authentic. This is a real town that the Messiah really came to. It's not tradition. It's not touristy. And that's exactly why I like it. Talk in your groups about someone you know, or perhaps even yourself, that's been maybe taken in by something flashy that turned out not to be real. It hurts my feelings when these flashy TV preachers especially fall from grace or have some sort of moral failure, and that it makes people of faith look silly. Maybe you've even been hurt by a situation like that. Someone that was very flashy on the outside, but they let you down because they weren't really living up to what they were saying. They didn't practice what they preached. It would be much better for us to be like Korazim, humble and authentic. Not a lot of flash. Once again, shalom from the Holy Land, and God bless you from the city of Korazim.